Attention, everybody. Well, thank you all for coming. Try to contain your enthusiasm. And that's going to be the fun part of the night. Anyway, we want to thank you all for coming out tonight to Harrah's and this celebration of the life of Lee Giorgio. For those of you who have, I see Lee brought his entire family here, because nobody else knows who the hell Lee is. Anyway, we do want to introduce somebody special in the audience tonight. We have Miss Louisiana 2013 in the house, Kristen Gerald. Kristen, stand up and wave. That was just for Lee. By the way, they're going to be walking around with a blue and white diamond pendant from Ramsey's Jewelers. Lori Ramsey donated that. It's worth $1,600. And that's the actual price, $1,600. You can buy a chance for 20 bucks or 6 chances for $100. Much better odds than the Powerball. And you can walk out of here with a blue and white diamond pendant tonight from Ramsey's Jewelers. And for only 20 bucks or 6 chances for 100. Anyway, thank you all for coming out tonight. And we're doing this to raise money for El Delgado Community College, a great college in this town. We're all glad to be here for that. We've done this for many years. Tonight, Lee is in the hot seat. I've been there. I know it's rough. We do want to introduce our folks on the dais tonight, or on the table, or whatever the hell they call this. We have Chancellor Monty Sullivan and his wife, Kelly Sullivan. You can do better than that. Come on. Right at the end of the table. Next to him is Judge Jacques Sanborn. Clancy Dubose and his lovely wife, Margot. The beautiful Sheriff Newell Normand. And his even lovelier wife, Sean. Lee Giorgio, who some of you may know. And Melanie Canatella. They're not stripping, so stop it. Alicia Maenza and Mike Maenza. Greg Reggio and his new bitch, Jay Thomas. They do make a good couple. Yeah, I'm just kidding, Jay. I love you. No, they really did. You don't know Greg that well. And and he used tongue too. This is nasty. And poor Pastor Southall, he comes to this thing every year. Charles Southall and his beautiful wife, Lila. And before we get things going, we'd like to bring up Woody Auger. Boy, if you're a guy and you're named Woody, that's got to be an advantage. The Delgado Foundation board member and an LCTCS governing board member. Woody, come on up.
Unfortunately, I had the distinct pleasure of being a little more sober on my comments. I'll try. It's kind of hard with Lee Giorgio sitting in the back of me, staring at me. But it is a pleasure to welcome you all tonight. This is a distinct evening. On behalf of the host, the Delgado Foundation, this is our 10th anniversary giving this event, and that's a round of applause as well for all those hardworking people, all in the back there that put this on. This is going to be a fun night, but it's also honoring a distinct member of our foundation board, Lee Giorgio. He's vice chair of our foundation. I know Ashton Ryan, our chairman, would love to be here, but he had a pressing engagement that he couldn't be here, but he would probably be given notice to Lee on some of the amazing things we talk about at the board meeting. I would also like to, as you well know, either this week or next week, I'm not 100% sure, is National Volunteer Week. And to bring that to light, I would like to have all of our foundation board members rise and be recognized, please. I've known these people for a long time, and I can tell you there's a lot of passion that goes on, not only for the school, the college, Delgado College, but also for the students. Very important to us. There's another special guest in the audience I want to recognize very quickly, Dr. Peter Foss, University of New Orleans. Doctor, where are you? Thanks for joining us, Peter. We'd like to most sincerely thank all of our sponsors, for without you tonight wouldn't be possible, but especially mention our major sponsors. FFC Capital Markets, First NBC Bank, Harrah's New Orleans, Liberty Bank and Trust Company, and NOLA Motorsports Park. Without them, they are a huge beneficiary. So if you have to have business done anywhere in the city, please patronize those businesses. It is now my honor to welcome to the podium Dr. Monty Sullivan, Chancellor, Delgado Community College.
Good evening. I have to tell you, I would prefer an introduction from Woody to that of Eric Paulson. Good evening to you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being such great sponsors and hosts, and sponsors and supporters of Delgado Community College. I want to thank my friend Peter Foss. Great to see you, Peter. Thank you for being with us this evening. I have to tell you, it is a new day in the city of New Orleans for higher education. Peter Foss has been a breath of fresh air for us to work with at Delgado Community College. Truly appreciate you. To our sponsors, thank you for all that you do for Delgado Community College. Thank you especially for the students. Thank you from our students. Those students benefit every single day from the work that you do and from your generosity. And without your generosity, they certainly could not pursue the dreams that they have as students at Delgado. I want to also say to our good friend Lee Giorgio, thank you for offering yourself up as sacrifice tonight for this great event. You know, I wondered if perhaps tonight we shouldn't have issued Q-tips at the door, because by the time this thing is over, there may be a need to kind of clean the ears a little bit, right? I'm going to tell you a few things about Lee Giorgio that maybe not for the roast. I'm going to say a few good things about Lee, because you may not hear any good things about Lee tonight. You may only hear the bad. I want to be sure to balance things out a bit. Lee Giorgio is perhaps the hardest working person that I know. This guy, absolutely. I've never seen someone work so hard to throw his own party. No, I say that in complete jest. Lee is almost inhuman in his ability to put together a party. I've never seen anything quite like it. Love to work with Lee, but I tell you, I can't keep pace with him. I can't keep the late hours and then the early mornings. But this guy has quite an ability to bring people together and such a heart for Delgado Community College and for the students. Really appreciate each of you being here with us tonight. Welcome to the 10th anniversary of the Delgado Community College Foundation Roast. Thank you so much for being with us.
I thought Monty was going to go longer. I was eating. Forgive me. Thank you, Monty. Thank you very much. And now we want to bring out, because isn't Harrah's a great host? I mean, it's great to have this room to have the roast. We've been other places, and it was never as good as Harrah's is, so we want to thank Harrah's. You can do better than that, can't you? Come on, for God's sake. I want to bring up a good friend of mine, Carol Brandt from Harrah's. Carol?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Harrah's. As Eric was saying, we have been hosting this event now for 4 years, and I have to say, it has definitely grown to become one of my favorite events to attend, and I'm looking forward to tonight as well. It really is a great opportunity for us to showcase our property and let you all know that we are very committed to the community, and this is a very worthwhile cause, so we're glad that we can support it. I would also like to thank our staff. As you all know, there's no I in team, so I have a fabulous team here, so I'd like to make sure we recognize our team, our food and beverage team, Chef Chris Brown, who's helped with all of the chefs that have come in to prepare a wonderful dinner for you all tonight. Our AV team, our banquets team, Amber Hutchinson, who works with me, who's done a great job. So I'd like to say thank you to our team. I hope you all have a lovely dinner, and on with the roast. Have a great evening. Thank you.
And you'll be glad to know this, the silent auction will stay open in case you still want to bid. All right, we do want to thank all the restaurants that have helped out tonight. Have you enjoyed the food so far? The appetizers were great. So far, the food has been wonderful. We want to thank Mr. Mudbug and 12 Seasons, Mellow Mushroom, Delgado Culinary, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Acme Oyster House, Cafe Giovanni, Best Steakhouse, and Andrea's Restaurant. A big round of applause for all the restaurants. They're making tonight great. And Jay, could you kiss Greg one more time so I can tweet it? It would be awesome. No?
I was trying to kiss him. It was like a cat.
Yeah.
He said my breath smelled like Candace Bergen.
Did y'all hear that? He said he was complaining because he said his breath smells like Candace Bergen. Jay used to be on television. I think with Lucille Ball or somebody, I don't know. Anyway, before we get dinner started, we do want to ask for the Lord's blessing on this, and Reverend Southall, Pastor Southall comes here every year. He's the secretary of the foundation board and pastor of First Emmanuel Baptist Church, and he'll deliver our invocation tonight. Pastor Southall?
Shall we pray? Oh, gracious Father, we come in this hour in the evening thanking you for this opportunity and for the reason in which we come. Lord, we thank you for the sponsors and the staff, our chancellor, and everyone who makes Delgado Community College what it is today. Bless our food, let it nourish us as we go forth and do your will. In thy name we pray. Amen.
And enjoy your dinner. By the way, I've been reminded it's an Italian feast, in case you haven't noticed. So there's a theme for tonight. And we'll get on with the roast. Enjoy your dinner. We'll be back with the roast in, a few minutes. So stay there.
Any place is alright, as long as I'm with you. In a faraway land, on the tropic sea sand, if your hand's in my hand, I won't be blue. Way up on a mountain, way down in a valley.
Are y'all ready to start this thing? Come on. Are y'all ready to start this? I just noticed Lee has left his own roast. So as soon as Lee gets back, we'll start the roast of Lee Giorgio. Dinner's been great, hasn't it? All right.
I was having second thoughts. I was leaving. Instead, I just greased up a little KY because I know it's going to hurt. But the things I do for you is not enough. So, and just remember, whatever happens at Harris stays at Harris. I just heard my cousin-in-law, Greg Noto, is his birthday today. I'm not going to sing the whole thing, but happy birthday, Greg.
That was the most pitiful applause I've ever heard. And Lee actually was foreclosing on somebody's property. That's true. Well, are y'all ready for the roast to begin? I don't know about you, but when I heard they wanted to roast Lee Giorgio, I said, are you freaking kidding me? Roast Lee Giorgio? Lee Giorgio's not funny. I mean, it's not like he's a household name, except in the Giorgio household. His mother wanted a girl. She got Lee. Androgynous Lee. But actually, I started to talk to people who were close to Lee, and I got a whole new perspective about him. I didn't know this, but Lee was in the military. Actually, he was a Green Beret in the Special Forces. I know. I mean, it blew me away. If you'd have told me Special Olympics, I'd have believed that. But Special Forces, I mean, that's impressive. And you know, for a guy who fought in the Korean War, he looks pretty damn good. Actually, I'm kidding. Lee never saw combat. The only battle he ever faced was how to get out of the frickin' army. And he finally got out. And I do kid Lee, but I like Lee. Lee, this is your night. We want to make you comfortable. Can we get you a drink, an appetizer, a personality, something? It's a roast, live with it. Or he'll foreclose on you too. Actually, Lee is a good friend of mine. He and Melanie are very special people. They have a very special bond, the kind of bond it usually takes the iron grip of marriage to have. Oh, he's squirming now. Melanie told me he gave her crabs for her birthday. I'm sorry, it was crab traps. No, actually, that's what he got her for her birthday. Crab traps. Normally, you've got to be married to a woman for about 20 years before you give her a crappy gift like that. I mean, you really know how to treat a woman, Lee. Lee's invited a bunch of his friends to the roast tonight. We're glad to have them here. And if you judge a man by his friends, you are so screwed, Lee. Honestly, we're all here because we like Lee. We just want to have a little fun at your expense. And you're about to find out, Lee, just how much your friends really don't like you. And when I look at these guys, that one, that one, there you go. Lee, you are so screwed. All right, we're going to start out with a guy I really like, Mike Maenza. Mike brought his own cheering section tonight. Mike has not written a single joke down for this. But I'll tell you what, when I saw Jay Thomas kiss Greg, normally Mike kisses every man he meets. I mean, he's tried to tongue me several times. Could you kiss Greg and come up here, Mike? Go ahead. Mike Maenza.
Well, they gave me 3 minutes up here, but I don't think that's going to happen. Anyway, these are my notes compared to my wife Alicia's notes. It's like an encyclopedia. When they asked me, well, actually, Lee asked me to be the roastee, and he was the roaster. We had a conflict there. But you know, Lee doesn't like conflict, right? But actually, we are the roasters, and Lee is the roastee. But he thought he was right. I just agreed with him. So who's right now? Is it the roasters or the roastee? I think we're right. Hi, roasters. Clancy Dubros. Clancy. I love you, Clancy. I love you too. Holy Cross man. A fine gentleman. Mr. Communication. He missed communications. I have no idea what that means. Greg Reggio, my boyfriend. My future ex-brother-in-law. Where's Tammy? He kissed Jay Thomas. Jay's been six-timing me lately. I don't like that, Jay. But he came back. But Jay, you know, Jay went to Jesuit. We all know about those Jesuit Blue Jays. The pastor. He introduced me to his wife tonight. The last woman he introduced me to, he said it was his wife. She's much prettier though, Lala. You're much prettier. Oh, I love you. Monty. Would anybody mess with Monty? Look how big he is. I mean, when I was in school at Holy Cross, when we got called in for when we were bad, if I came into his office, I said, Monty, whatever you want, it's okay. Newell Norman. Omar Sharif. He's beautiful. We gotta love Newell. He's done a great job for the city. All right, let's give him a hand for Newell. And Eric Paulson, what about him? He always just nabs everybody. He's the best. We love Eric. He thought all the food was the best tonight, except for the tiramisu. I'm gonna let him explain this to Andrea. He didn't like it. Okay, so I'm going to try to read my wife's notes tonight, so just kind of bear with me. I'm usually a man of few words. My name is Mike Mayenza. I'm the roaster, Lee.
I got it.
You're not the roast. I'm the roaster. We're the roasters. I know, I got it. And Lee and I have been friends for a long time. It's hard to believe since Lee was born in 1849. If you know anything about Lee, you know that he's always right, makes the best plans, makes the best Bloody Marys, extremely vain, always prompt. He was just late for his own roast. And he claims to boil the best crawfish. If you know Lee, you also know his 3 favorite sayings. If you have a conversation with him on the phone or if you have in a business meeting, he's 3 sayings. Back in the day, in any event, it comes back into. I really don't understand that yet, but I'll hopefully someone can explain it to me tonight. It comes back into. I don't understand that, Lee. I really don't. So now we're going to take Lee through the years, okay? So at age 14, Lee drove a vehicle, an automobile, because his uncle got so drunk at that time he had to drive him home. Is that correct? I didn't know they had automobiles back then. I have no idea. But his love for leather clothes, his shoes, stems back to the Holy Cross days when he enjoyed playing football. As vain as Lee is and was, even back in the day, about his hair, He found a way to assist in that invention of the leather helmet back in 1859. So his hair wouldn't get messed up anymore. It was all about the leather helmet. Lee also ran track and field. He was the fastest track and field runner for Holy Cross High School. But his main event that he always liked was broad jump. Yes. He didn't practice at Holy Cross. He practiced at Holy Angels, that girls' school. He jumped every broad at Holy Angels. In any event, Lee was a good broad jumper. But still hard to believe that Lee did graduate in a class of 1863. Guess I got this note out the way. Okay. His continuing education brought him into college. He stayed in college a few years. But his main elective was etiquette. His elective course was etiquette. And with that elective course, etiquette, was a course called promptness. He was late for every class. And unfortunately, he taught me everything I know about being late also, Lee. Thank you very much. So after leaving college, he went and served, like Eric was saying, his country. Yep. He trained under Robert E. Lee. As a matter of fact, we were walking in the French Quarter just the other day, and Lee said, "Hey, that's the first guy I ever voted for." And I was looking around, I said, "Who?" He goes, "Andrew Jackson." Lee loves to boss everyone around. He loves walking through the quarter because all of his friends are statues. They don't talk back. And it comes back into, again, I'm saying that. I have no idea what he comes back into. He's always right. So Lee, after leaving and serving his country, and he's going through his country, he was a Green Beret. Yes, he was. But he was a paratrooper. Yep, he jumped out of planes. This is a fine example of what happens when a parachute does not open. Kind of look at the pictures up here, too, if you will. You don't have to look at his face, but just note, he served his country.
I'm just getting ready for the rebuttal.
Lee also was the roughest, the toughest Green Beret we've ever known. He can hunt down and protect anything. Thanks, Lee. What a guy. Lee, if you're welcome to come up here and come see what we're showing, if you'd like. It's true. The pictures prove it. Let's give him a hand, because he gave me the hand. In fact, Lee was such a Green Beret, his family said, "You the Green Beret, you the man, you need to come down and protect us during a hurricane." So he did. Lee went down to this hotel where they were staying, protecting this family, his whole family, his cousins, his daughters, everyone. They knew they were well protected because he was a Green Beret. In any event, this tough little Green Beret slept through the whole entire hurricane while his family stayed up all night scared to death. It comes back into, I still don't understand this yet. I would not want Lee on my front line. No way. We're going to break the Green Beret and he sleeps behind the line? I don't know. Work. Like we said, he was working earlier today. That's why he was late. He went in the back and he was probably selling another piece of property. He does take a lot of pride in his workplace. He still goes to work wearing his modern Green Day beret. Oh, you love it. I love it. He has a great work ethic. Since he was a young boy, He's very proud of his first construction site. As we were walking through the French Quarter, back in the day, it was the St. Louis Cathedral. Good job, Lee. Did you know that Lee serves on so many boards than a lumber mill? Here's another chest. Here we go. So you think the reason why he would run for office, and I'm not talking anything about, I know, Eric. How did y'all like the food tonight? Wasn't the food good? Okay. But Lee doesn't want to run for office. Lee is my mentor. He always said things like, you know, he wanted to be a politician. But why be a politician? He owns the politicians. And that's why I think the sheriff's here tonight. Because he said he's never done this before, but when Lee said you have to do it, he did it. Sean, I'm okay with that. We're all right. Okay. Lee, he loves. Yes, Lee loves. Lee loves his daughters. He loves his family. He loves Melanie. He loves his friends. Look at the friends. Turn to each one of each, and everybody kiss everybody. Let's hear it. Come on, Lee loves his friends. He loves Bella, that little puppy. But most of all, Lee loves Lee. Oh, he makes the best salads. Again, he makes the best burgers. He keeps making the best Bloody Marys, makes the best crawfish. It goes on and on and on and on. Going back to Lee making the best plans, just remember Gilligan in that 3-hour tour. If you go out with him on a boat, bring single torches, because he likes to get stuck in places you'll never know. He loves fishing. In fact, he loves fishing so much. We went out, we were in the Gulf of Mexico, and we ended up on his boat, and the night before we went fishing, he had this movie called Finding Nemo. Should have never told it to my wife, who loves animals, because the next morning, he had 100 cacajos in the fishing well, and Alicia was throwing every cacajo overboard, saying, "Find Nemo, find Nemo." We had no bait to go fishing that next morning. So, of course, we didn't catch any fish, so Lee blamed it on Alicia. Lee loves boats. You know he loves boats. He's got that huge Bertram, that 41,000-foot Bertram that he just put $2 billion and skillions of dollars into. But his favorite boat is the fold boat. Have you ever seen his fold boat? It's like folds out, and it's like about 4 or 5 foot, right? You got it. And he goes in that boat more than he goes into that big, beautiful, multi-billion-dollar boat. He goes in his boat that just folds out, flaps out, and he goes out there. And he, like Eric said, he likes to go crabbing. He likes to go fish in his porter boat. He is the old man in the sea. Speaking of crabs and crab traps, you were right, Eric. I can't take this off my notes. I got to keep reading it. Lee loves Melanie so much. What a great idea. You know what he gave Lee for her birthday? A crab trap. Well, Lee gave Melanie a crab trap, right? See, I'm starting to get, okay. From what I know about Melanie, I don't think she was, were you happy with that crab trap? Lee is very passionate about snow skiing. We just went snow skiing a couple of months ago. Lee loves to be the best on the slopes. He wants to take these big black runs, and he's, you know. But we go up this big black run. He said, let's go take this run. I can master that. We went 5 feet, and boom, he's down. He slides down a big black slope. That's how he gets down. He slides down on his ass. That's it. But he goes back and says, I went down that slope. It's on his ass. In fact, he got lost once because I went down skiing in front of him, and we looked behind us. We couldn't find Lee. He froze his ass off. That's why, Lee, I guess you wear your pants so high. He wears them high. Oh, he wears his pants high. Hey, Lee, I think you should save some money from Michael Brinkman. Nothing against the Brinkman. That you may order just some, save money on the full-length shirts and buy some midriffs. Oh, Lee, when he was younger, and we can all relate to this, going to the swimming pool. Lee is the inventor of the Speedo. He is the king of the Speedo. And not because he speeds anywhere, because late, Speedo. He could be in a private or public area. He used to take his daughters out there with his Speedo. He invented Speedo. Not a pretty sight, huh? Wow, he is hot. I think Speedo went out of business after he was the model for Speedo. So Lee's athletic, yep. Besides skiing, racing cars at Lanny's race car. Where's Lanny? Lee says he went there when his car went 200 miles an hour. I don't understand it. I guess it's that word again we were talking about. I don't know. He also thinks he can dance. Not Lee. Lee, you're just an all-around kind of guy. Men of fashion. What do you think about Lee? Men of fashion. Lee takes longer to get dressed than any woman in this audience. When we go on trips, he has more suitcases packed than Melanie or anyone else. He was a man of fashion. He should be more like a woman of fashion. He definitely uses more skincare than a woman. He constantly, am I over my 3 minutes? I'm almost finished. All right, he constantly is trying to outdo Melanie, so she buys one outfit, Lee buys 5. You must learn that you cannot outdo Melanie, Lee. You can't do it. Maybe you'll never get it. Oh, look at that. I've been in Lee and Melanie's house a lot of times, and Lee has 7 closets of clothes, suits, and way more shoes than Melanie. And speaking of hoarding, all the closets, Lee is a hoarder and a pack rat. He really is a pack rat. I would ask Melanie, why all these papers you have? And she would repeat these famous words. So, back in the day, I lost these important papers. He's probably found a paper tonight. That's why he was selling one of his real estate properties tonight. It comes back into the fact that he may need these files for further future in any event, like he always says. Yes, Lee, you're a hoarder. Do you know that he still has the French provincial white furniture they had for a child back in the 1800s? Poor thing. Huh. Sometimes you just have to let it go, Lee. Just let it go. Lee has 3 cars, 3 boats. He has a hoarding problem. But don't get attached to your own stuff, because he'll sell the piece of real estate down to your grandma's. I mean, that's what he was selling tonight, whether you're attached to it or not. I speak from experience, because last year at Dancing with the Stars, he sold my shirt right off my back. Lee is a colorful guy, very colorful. He's an interior designer. Y'all probably didn't know that. He really is. Because no one really knows what color Lee's hair is. If I had to guess, it could be gray. We'll never know for sure. Sometimes it's orange, sometimes it's red. Light brown, dark brown. Lee, make up your mind or get it done professionally. Michelle, where's your Michelle? Bring them in, you know? Remember, Melanie has to clean the bathroom. So the interior designer is, they have to change the coloring on the bathroom walls on a monthly basis. Okay, I'm finished now. Lee, all joking aside, you're a great friend of mine. I'll stick through you. Thick or thin. Because I realize that it doesn't matter how you do in life. You can, take the boy out of St. Bernard, darling, but you can't take St. Bernard out of the boy. We love you, Lee. Did I spend too much time?
And that concludes our program. You know, Mike, we're going to call you Gilligan from now on because you just took us on a 3-hour tour. And by the way, that picture of Lee in a Speedo, Lee's mom wanted a girl, and Lee had a camel toe in that Speedo. That's what I saw. By the way, Mike, the sheriff's kind of pissed. Your car's been impounded. Our next roaster, who knows about time, is Clancy Dubose. Now, I don't want to say Clancy is pompous, but he makes Newell look humble. And if you've ever seen Clancy on Channel 4, he does our commentary by Clancy Dubose. How often do you do that? Like once a week? Whenever they let him. If his commentary tonight is anything like his commentary on Channel 4, I won't know what the hell he's talking about. Clancy, come on up.
Eric, you never know what the hell I'm talking about. Mike, that was longer than a goddamn Jerry Lewis telethon. And nowhere near as much fun. And I think it almost cost me more. Roasting Lee Giorgio. I mean, I haven't done anything so easy since I played t-ball. You know, it's just right there. Seriously, Lee, in spite of everything Mike said about him, Lee is a very, very humble guy for many good reasons. I don't know why I think people are saying such mean things about him. My parents taught me to respect my elders, and Lee is older than everybody in the room, much older. If you saw the movie Lincoln, Lee had a credit. He was the only surviving eyewitness. Just how old is Lee? His idea of getting lucky is when he walks out of Walmart and he remembers where he parked his car. When he was a kid, the Dead Sea was merely not feeling very well. And he's getting really tired of people coming up to Melanie when they're dining out and asking, "Isn't it nice that your grandpa took you out to dinner tonight?" The other day, he grabbed her hand as they were walking out of Walmart. The store manager put out an Amber Alert. It's true. And they held him until Newell Norman showed up and swore that he was not a sex offender. I guess they were profiling. The other day, a pair of old ladies came and knocked on their condo door and asked Lee and Melanie to give something to the old folks' home. So Melanie gave them Lee. Melanie took Lee to the pharmacy, kind of on the QT, to get him something to, sort of boost him in the bedroom. The pharmacist is standing there, like they all do. You know, he's got the thing and he's carving up the pills and he's counting them. And Melanie comes up and says, "Can you give me something from my boyfriend's Nature?" And he looks at Lee and says, "For him?" She said, "Yeah." He said, "Sorry, can't help you." one of Melanie's girlfriends asked her in a, one of those moments where just the girls talking, she said, "What's it like to make love to a man, much older than you?" And she shook her head and said, it's picture trying to shove a raw oyster into a parking meter. Melanie told me that. I'm sorry, Now, you see, Mike, the key is to know when to quit. In closing, Melanie and Lee were out on the balcony across the street enjoying a nice bottle of wine recently, and Melanie raised her glass and said, "I love you so much, I don't think I could live without you." And Lee was so moved, with tears in his eyes, he said, "Baby, that's the sweetest thing you've ever told me." She said, "I'm not talking to you, asshole, I'm talking to the wine." Thank you very much. Congratulations, Lee.
If Clancy were just that good on TV. Well, our next roaster is a close personal friend of mine, but you'll never know that from some of the comments he'll make. He's a son of a bitch. Greg Reggio is, well, he fancies himself as a man about town. Greg will be the first one to brag, "I have sex with many people. Some of them are women. Some are animals. And if you are, shut up, Greg. If you are easily offended, you don't like racial humor, you might want to leave the room. If you have kids here, they shouldn't be here. I bring you the one and only Greg Reggio.
Isn't that nice? Head too small, leathery neck, scaly skin, hard, crusty exterior. Eric, how are your turtles doing, buddy? It is true that after a while, people really do start looking like their pets. You must have a pet asshole, too, Eric. Now, what would a Delgado roast be without me calling Paulson an asshole? It just wouldn't be a Delgado roast. I've learned a lot of shit by watching Eric Paulson on WWL. I learned that both he and Kim Jong-un are both worried about their missile going off prematurely. I've learned that his hair, like the Arctic ice, will be gone by 2020. Jay, good to see you back in New Orleans. I want to say I loved you in The Lord of the Rings. What's elfish for bad kisser? It's good news for you. As of 2012, you can legally be married in Maine and Maryland. So good luck with that. Sheriff, how you doing over there, bud? Good. I suppose Guzman couldn't be here because it's his turn to ice down the Budweiser back at OPP. Thank you. I can understand smuggling in drugs and maybe a cell phone, but a case of beer? Big beers are there. Those were like 40s. And guns, too. I can only hope that if and when I get arrested, it's in Jefferson Parish. Noel's always told me, he says he could never, ever fill Harry Lee's shoes, but you're doing a pretty good job filling out the rest of the uniform. And that's why I'll be sleeping in Orleans Parish tonight. You guys been reading the editorials lately in the Gambit? They seem like they're written by a guy who's used to having his lunch money stolen. Who writes that shit? Cheer up, Clancy. You You look like you're less regular than the Times-Picayune over there. Smile, brother. We've got the Honorable Judge Sanborn with us tonight. You're a long-standing member of the Louisiana Bar Association, and an even longer member of the Association of Bars in St. Bernard. Michael Maenza, my sweet, sweet Caroline. You love to sing, you love to dance, you like to dress up, put on makeup. You're gonna be the best mommy ever, Mikey. Mike, you know I love you. I mean, you're practically a sister-in-law to me. Pastor Southall. No, actually, I got nothing for you. The way I figured, I'm spending enough time in purgatory. Let's go to the man of the hour, Lee Giorgio. You know, he's half Irish, half Italian. He's the kind of guy that would make you an offer you can't understand. Can you imagine what breakfast was like growing up in his house? He goes, hey, I got your Lucky Charms right here. You know, once on a trip to Ireland, he drank way too much. He was mixing beer and Jameson. He got sick as a dog. And Lee, the problem is this, with your heritage, you can't do Irish on Irish. You gotta even it up. Do like a Guinness and Grappa or a Barolo and Bailey's. That's what you got to work at if you're going to drink like that. You know, you guys have all heard of Cajun French, right? Cajun French? Well, Lee speaks St. Bernard English. He once told me to come over here by the winder. I didn't know what the hell he meant either. He asked if I went to ski ool in California. And I said, ool? No, I usually ski in Breckenridge. And he goes, no, little brother, ski-ool, high school. I said, you know, you listen to Lee long enough and he'll butcher a ton of words. He probably has no idea what I'm talking about, do you, Lee? In any event, Lee's very social. He likes fine clothes, likes going out. He's the life of the party. I want you all to check out this quick little 30-second video to see what I'm talking about.
I'm too sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave me. It hurts, and I am too sexy for me.
All right, big round of applause for Lee. You know now from a earlier roaster that Lee was an only child, and his mother always wanted a girl, but close enough. But his dad was always worried about toughening Lee up. He always thought, here's Lee was always impeccably dressed and all that. So one day he invited a couple of the neighborhood boys, a couple of the neighbor brothers together over for dinner. And he figured, hey, this would be a good opportunity to bond with some of the tougher kids in the neighborhood. So they're all sitting there at the table. Papa's got his muscle shirt on. He's sitting at the head of the table. The two brothers there in torn up T-shirts and old jeans. And there's Lee in his three-piece suit, silk. And they're sitting at the table. At one point, Mama gets up from the table. The Papa's looking around. He says, well, let me start questioning these guys and see if we can get a little insight from my son. But he sees these guys are a little big, they're a little unkempt. He looks at the first guy. He says, Guido, look at you. How come you're so fat? And Guido says, hey, Papa G, let me tell you. It's because of spaghetti and the meatballs. I love a spaghetti and meatballs. And Papa G says, you take a too big a bite. He looks at his brother. He says, Aldo, look at you. You make your brother look like a supermodel. How come you're so fat? He goes, for me, it's a cannelloni. I love a cannelloni. He says, you take a too big a bite. He looks at his son, Lee. He goes, Lee, look at you. You're so thin. You're so trim. How you keep it so slim and trim? He says, hey, Papa, for me, it's the pussy. I love the pussy. Papa says, the pussy tasted like a shit. And he says, hey, Papa, you take a too big a bite. In all seriousness, Lee, you're kind, you're generous, you're never afraid to fight for what you believe in. Delgado is lucky to have you as a friend, and so am I. Thank you very much.
We apologize for Greg. You tell a pussy joke and then you compliment him? I mean, my God. Well, Judge Jacques Sanborn has the pleasure of following Greg Reggio. And you know, Greg, you were right about the beers in OPP. You know, you can't sneak beers into Jazz Fest, but you can get them in OPP. I mean, come on. Anyway, Jacques, I don't want to say anything to piss you off because you're like a judge. So come on up, you're going to pass.
Uncle Leon. And for those of you who are close to him, he's not Lee, he's not Leon, he's Uncle Leon. He's my Uncle Leon. Been that way for a long time. You know, with the exception of maybe Joe George or a couple of his cousins, I've known Lee longer than anybody. I met him when I was 10 years old. He was much older than me. He was 11. And he's still much older than me. We grew up in Araby, in Chalmette. And what impressed me most about Lee when I first met him, he had this aura, you know. Y'all always, many of y'all have heard that old saying, you're ugly and your mama dresses you funny. Remember that? Well, it was just the opposite for Lee. It was just the opposite for Lee. His mama, Miss Gladys. I don't know if anybody know Miss Gladys. Lee's mom made sure that her boy always looked sharp. Always. You know, the rest of us, we dressed in shorts and old baggy jeans and that kind of stuff. Not Leon. Uncle Leon always had his jeans that went to the dry cleaners. He had the best crease in those jeans. All the way down. I mean, incredible. And he wore the finest Van Lawn shirts that money could buy. Remember the Van Lawn shirts, Uncle Leon? And it showed his figure. He was an athlete. He was a good athlete, even from in those days. And Brill Cream. Remember Brill Cream? You know. It kept that hair straight back, that dark hair. It was a different color at that time, though, Lee. It's a little bit more reddish now. For some reason, I don't know why. But anyway, we both started high school at Holy Cross. I eventually transferred to Chalmette High School. After I've never done this before. I haven't seen this bright light stuff. But anyway, I transferred to Chalmette High School after Hurricane Betsy. And so we kind of split. I didn't see much of Lee for the next couple of years. And, but we met up again at USL in Lafayette, USL, University of Slow Learners. And speaking of slow learners, Lee wasn't too good in math. I remember I was living with, I was roommates with Mike Lambert. Where's Mike Lambert? He's out there somewhere. Anyway, Lee says, man, I'm having difficulty with trigonometry, identities. It was a math course, and I was a math major. He said, man, can you help me? I said, yeah. So, man, I tutored him one night until about 3 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, we probably had a couple of beers while we did that. But, we stayed up until late in the morning, and, I thought that, he had gotten it. And so I didn't see him for a couple of days, and a couple of days later, I saw him. I said, man, I said, Lee, how did you do in the trig test? He says, I made an 8. And I said, 8 out of a 10? That's good, that's great. He said, no, 8 out of 100. Now, and I really didn't feel bad because he had ragged me for so long about the Holy Cross Chalmette shit, We had lost, I played football, and we had lost to Holy Cross in the state playoffs, and he ragged me for years, for 2 years, 3 years. You went to a chicken shit school, blah, 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 So I didn't feel really bad when he got to 8 out of 100, on my tutoring. But speaking of math, I don't know if y'all know that Uncle Leon was one of the youngest directors in the Federal Reserve System. That's great. Federal Reserve, the bank. He was in. I asked him. I said, "Man," and I was teaching at the time. I'm like, "Man, I'm so impressed." And I said, "What do you do? What are you in charge of?" He says, "I'm in charge of money." Money. I said, what do you mean? He says, I count the money. And I'm like, here's a guy who can't pass a math test, and he's in charge of of counting money? And that was after he was a Green Beret, fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless man. Remember? Okay. But the bottom line is, Lee can be a great friend. I mean, he's the greatest guy in the world. But if he wants to get on your case, he can be really tough. I mean, he can really rag you. Like he ragged me about the Holy Cross thing for years. And I finally got back at him, with the trig test. And that was good. But I remember about 15, 18 years ago, Lee loves to fish. He's a great fisherman. But we went down to, I think it was Port Sulphur, and it was Lee, Ronnie Robber, who's here, and Anton Nipper, where's Nipper? Where are you? Where are you? Yell out. Nipper. All right. And it was Nipper and myself, and we went down to Port Sulphur, and Nipper he wanted to take us to one of his little honey holes. We can catch a lot of fish. And we did catch a lot of fish. We caught like 125 trout, and speckled trout and white trout. Nipper caught 3 out of 125. Was that right, Nipper? 3? But during the day, Leon, just ragged on him the whole day. On and on and on. Nipper, you're not holding your mouth right. Nipper, you got a bad attitude. Nipper, you want my pole? I'll give you my pole. Nipper, let me show you how to fish. I mean, Nipper, he ragged on Nipper so bad, Nipper jumped into the marsh out of the boat. And it was February, it was cold. You know, where's Nipper? I don't know. And to this day, when you're with Lee, and you either go fishing or you're doing something, or skiing, I go skiing with Lee, and you don't have a good day, it's called you're being nipperized. That's Leon's term. He can be tough. Getting back to Leon's penchant for fashion. You know, he's been named one of New Orleans' best dressed men for the last 10 years. Last 10 years, Leon? Huh? But I remember him, and I told you about the creased jeans, but in college, I remember this one photo that I took, and I lost it in Katrina. And actually, I had it blown up in a poster-sized deal for his 50th birthday party about 30 years ago. But it was this big poster. But you got to envision this. He's got, and it was taken, it was after a fraternity party. This was like in the early 70s. And I was living with Mike Lambert. Where's Mike Lambert? Some out there. It was after a fraternity party the next day on Sunday. Everybody was getting ready to leave, and it was Lee and Lambert and this other guy and girlfriends, and everybody's dressed in cutoffs and, you know, shorts and stuff, but not Leon. Leon, I'm going to start. Shoes. He's got two-tone blue leather shoes. All right? Two-tone blue leather shoes. His pants, he's got blue and white striped bell bottoms. All right? His shirt, he's got a blue floral silk shirt. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It was beautiful. But the topper, the whole ensemble, was his glasses. Remember Sly and the Family Stone? Remember that guy, Sly? He had the glasses that wrap around. It was about that big. He had those on him, and with the diamond accents on his sides. He was incredible. You know, he still has them. He still got them. He still got them. Anyhow, I took the picture. I had it blown up for, and I'm sorry it was lost in Katrina or something. I don't know where, but that was a great. And I had that. There was I had a little thing underneath it, and I said, and it was placed before you walked into the ballroom. Who is this man of sartorial splendor? And not many people knew who he was. I said, that's Uncle Leon with his hair slicked back. Oh, yeah, he did slick his hair back. But again, to this day, the guy is, you know, one of the best dressed men in New Orleans. What else? Well, and he's got his idiosyncrasies. He's got his idiosyncrasies. Like, and I think it was been mentioned before, like when Leon says, you get on the phone, when you going to get here? I'll be there in a half hour. Well, it's time to take a nap. Go to sleep for a little while, you know, because he's not going to be there for a while. The bottom line is, if you're lucky enough to call Leon Giorgio your friend, you are indeed lucky. And even though I call him Uncle Leon, he is my brother, and even closer, and I love him.
Y'all still awake? You know, I thought Newell Norman would be the low point. But Newell is one lucky son of a bitch to follow the judge. Because the judge is going to make Newell sound funny. I found out you're in St. Bernard. I'll never be in your court, so I don't give a damn. I hardly go to the parish. But I do drive to Jefferson often, so I've been sucking up to Newell all night. Without further ado, because he could really screw me over, here's Newell Norman.
It's amazing the two media guys are the only two that didn't take a shot at me. Mike and Greg, let me remind you that I am also the tax collector. You will be getting your audit notice tomorrow. Someone said that Lee owns the politicians and they couldn't be any more correct. Typically, I don't do roast because I'm not very good at it, and my biggest strength is I know my weakness. So I couldn't tell Lee no. You know, so it's going to be a tough one for me, but let me go ahead and start a little bit. It's hard to tell the truth when the truth hurts. And as a result of that, I consulted with my priest, and I asked him, I said, Father, I've been raised in the Catholic faith, 14 years of Catholic education. Y'all have repeatedly told me to tell the truth, to tell the truth, to tell the truth. But what do you do when you hurt a good friend by telling the truth? And he says, my son, most of the time that is true. You are a Jesuit. He's a Holy Cross Tiger. So in cases like this, Blue Jays are allowed to take liberties. So here we go. I actually talked to a couple of Lee's friends to get some of the material this evening, and I mean that literally a couple. And I have here volumes of material, but I did promise my wife that I would be shorter than Mike Mayanza. So thank you very much. You know, when I first met Lee, working with the business community and working with the sheriff's office and being very active in the not-for-profit world, I met Lee at a breakfast one morning at some not-for-profit that he served on a board of, and we had breakfast there and everything else, and we left, and I went to another meeting at lunch for another not-for-profit. Lee was there. We had lunch, and it was great. That evening, we went to another not-for-profit meeting, and I happened to see Lee yet again. And we had a very nice dinner there, and then I figured out how Lee amassed all of his wealth. He never pays for food. Delgado actually thinks that he gives a damn about that school. It's all about the food, because I understand they have a culinary school there and everything else. I did hear that, and I saw some of the video that said that Lee is a good dancer, and in spite of the video, we'll still go with that he's a good dancer. But one of his friends did tell me, check out the website of the tourism industry for in Cozumel. So I did. And there's a video there of Lee dancing with some balloons, some that look like a phallic symbol. And the caption says, and the balloon was about this long and about this big around, and it said, "You can have in Cozumel what you always dreamed of." But what we didn't realize is that not only is Lee a good dancer, he is actually an incredible pole dancer. And in case you didn't know, he is a pole dancer instructor in Cozumel, and he does that part-time. That's just a little bit of an extra job. This evening, I wore this special tie that has a lot of colors in it, and I happened to purchase the tie from the same clothier that Lee goes to. And I found out that he is a man of fashion. So I asked him, I said, what qualifies an individual to be a man of fashion? And you tell me that Lee is. And he says it's a man that can wear as many as 8 different colors. He can wear checks, he can wear plaids, he can wear all kinds of things. And I said, well, I know a lot of men that can do all of that, myself included, so what really does that mean? You know, what does it mean? He says, but you don't do it all at one time. And Lee, when you live long enough, you can see old fashions come back, and it's good to see you wear the bell-bottoms and the leisure suits and, you know, and everything else that goes along with that. So you truly are the man of fashion. You know, I've heard a lot about Lee being late, and he's historically late, and I walked into this JBC meeting that he's another member of that organization as well. And for those of you that know about the JBC, the members are very stoic. They're bankers and lawyers, and you know, they run major corporations in Jefferson Parish and the whole 9 yards, and they're very serious about what they do and, you know, about everything in life. It's not a lot of fun, these meetings. And I see a $1 million bill on the conference table, and I'm curious as to what that's all about. So I asked one of the members, and they said, well, that's the over and under. And I said, the over and under, what are you talking about? He goes, as certain as football is played every fall of the year, Lee Giorgio will be late. And we have a group of men that don't gamble on anything. This is a better bet than Secretariat. And what that represents is the pot of money on the over and under as to how late Lee is going to be to this meeting. And when Lee comes in, he'll have a coffee cup in his hand and he'll sashay on into the meeting. And everybody will stop and they all look at their watches, and then you see somebody go, yeah! But all seriously, I take good advice from my mentor and my predecessor, Harry Lee, who says never be on too long. But with that, I'll tell you that for me, you are the epitome of something that Winston Churchill says. And that is, in all seriousness, folks, is you make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give. And you give so very much to the community. And it's really why, in spite of you being an awful, awful political advisor, he got me involved in the toll issue. Something that I will be deeply indebted to him for the rest of my political life. I truly count you as a friend, and you give so much to our community. We would certainly be less without you. So thank you very much, Lee.
And Newell, when you got elected, it was like by 91%. You can kiss that goodbye. Thanks to Lee Giorgio and the toll issue. Well, all these guys have been funny tonight, haven't they? And we saved the pro for last. Jay Thomas is a professional comedian. If you watch TV back when it was only black and white, you probably remember Jay on all kinds of shows. Now he's on Sirius Radio on channel 830 or something. I don't know. But he is a funny guy. And actually, you're in a movie with Lindsay Lohan, aren't you? Jay, pay attention. Jesus. That part I said he was funny, you'll have to judge for yourself. Jay Thomas, come on up.
Now, this isn't all material. Most of it's Lee's resume that he sent me. I would come up here and do like 5 minutes and get out, but they flew me in, and I'm at the Gumbo Pot Motel, so I got to do some material. But I do want to say that coming up now after this, it's like being the 12th guy, you know, and you're pulling train with a hooker. I mean, this is like sloppy 55ths is what I'm having up here. I mean, I've never been so disgusted that this is where my fucking career has gone. Man, I mean, this is the lowest. I bragged to some friends I'm playing Harris. They said, what room? I said, the shit room is where I'm playing. I mean, my God, I was going to say something about Michael Meanza, but he may want a rebuttal. We'll be up here for 4 days. I mean, when I saw that picture of Lee in the Speedo, some of my tiramisu came up. Jesus. When Greg Reggio mentioned the pussy biting thing, Lila, the pastor's wife, dug her nails into my prostate. I mean, last year they sat me next to a guy who written a manual on masturbation. I swear to God, a doctor. And the waiter spilled water in my neck, and I like to jumped out of the building. Now I'm next to the hottest piece of pastor's ass I've ever seen in my life. And the pastor, who doesn't say anything, said, wait till I get you home, baby. That's all I've been hearing over there while she's massaging my prostate. I mean, really. And by the way, I just want to say that, Judge, I'd like to hold you in contempt of a roast. I mean, was that the boringest piece of shit you've ever heard in your life? I mean, who gives a shit that he got his pants, you know? I was sitting there going, you know, who cares, you know? Who could afford, you know, dry cleaning if y'all was so poor? From fucking Chalmette, you know? I mean, a dry cleaner in Chalmette is a Vietnamese woman that puts soap in her mouth and chews your clothing. I mean, what are we talking about, a dry cleaner in Chalmette? The fuck is that? They make a po' boy sandwich where they scoop out the middle, they put French fries in it, and someone shits on it, and they eat it. What's the name of that place? What is it? Rocky and Carlos, yeah. Yeah, have a big, you know, shit po' boy, French fried, you know, goes right to your ass like Richard Simmons' brother. How about that? He's a weight, you know, does the weight thing. His brother weighs 620 pounds. When he has to go to the bathroom, they lift him with a crane. By the way, Judge, who wrote that speech for you? Castro? One of those 9-hour speeches? And then the sheriff came up, and his thing says he got 92% of the vote in Jefferson Parish, and I'm thinking 52% were in Jefferson Parish and 40% were registered at Lake Lawn. Who gets 92% of a vote? I mean, they ought to arrest your ass here tonight. Are you kidding? I've never seen a bigger fucking crook than you in my life. 92%? Who are you, like Chavez? Jesus Christ. I'm wearing his glasses. I got these at the closeout dictator glasses thing. 92% of the vote. Really? It's unbelievable. He went to Jesuit. He brags he went to Jesuit. He was the first guy to institute waterboarding at the Holy Water Fountain. Mr. Big Law and Order guy over there. How many Mexicans have you beat in the back room is what I'd like to know. You're going to stop selling that shit or else. I'm talking about the tacos and the trucks. We got to stop it. We got to fucking stop it. People come from all over South America. Help us rebuild New Orleans. As soon as it's rebuilt, arrest every fucking Mexican you can. Arrest them all. I've never seen such a group of fucking losers in my life. And they're all rich. I wouldn't give one of these son of bitches 15 cents, all right? I mean, Lee Giorgio can't even count. It's like... And then he's with the Fed. Oh, my God. Who appointed you? You had to be appointed. Who appointed you?
I was an officer there.
Really? That sounds like he's under indictment the way he answered that. I was really kind of a, just an officer. But I was a mounted officer. I had a horse and I rode to the Fed. Man, I'm telling you. Now, I have a special person here on the dais that I've known since he was 10 years old, and it's Clancy Dubose. And when my sophomore, junior, senior year, my freshman year of college, Clancy's sister and I were madly in love. And he comes from a family of like 37 children. Nobody over 4'6", except for him. And so I remember one day they said, "Who's his father?" And they just shrugged. Nobody, I don't know. So his sister and I, we would, get in the living room every Friday night for years, right? I mean, it's the truth. Every Friday night I would come over and everybody would leave. And his sister and I were like really trying to deflower each other. We were just planning it. We'd talk about it. And then as soon as I got there and something started to happen, he would come into the room and destroy whatever romantic mood his sister and I. So years later, somebody said, "Hey, you know Clancy Dubose, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." "He's now a big newspaper guy in New Orleans." I said, "Really, what's the name of the newspaper? Cock Blockers?" I can't look at him without thinking that he set back my sex life by like 4 years. I'm not joking. And I had a nightmare. I was thinking if I ever married his sister on our honeymoon, the nightmare was that I would just be about to put it in his sister and he'd run in those little footsie pajamas and fuck with us before we did anything. Jump on the bed, with those cowboy pajamas. I hated him. I mean, every time I see him, that's all I can think about. They said, he's an investigative, reporter. I said, he is a meddling shithead, is what he is. Not investigating. He's a fucking tattletale in pajamas. Daddy, they're kissing under the whatever. I mean, my God. I moved away from here because I was afraid these assholes would run the city, and they do. Look at them. People go, "Why did you leave New Orleans?" There it is, right back behind me. I'll tell you what, Judge, when you give a speech, that's got to be quite an event. Are you elected or appointed? God forbid. Do they go, "Look, shut up, we'll vote for you, all right? Just fucking let him get in there. He's not even a lawyer. Who gives a shit? Put him in." I don't care. Put his ass in there. I mean, really. I mean, come on. How about Eric Paulson? Moves here from like Southern Illinois University, comes into New Orleans and said, look, I'm the only 6'3" blonde in this whole town. That's why he lives here. He lords over us. Now, he was, I've never met his fiance. I was here 2 years ago and never met her, and 2 years passed, and, you know, given in the 21st century, you know, you don't know how relationships are going, so I just want to ask you 2 years later, did you marry a man or a woman? Oh, she is? Very lovely, very lovely. I have never met her, I didn't know. You still have the tortoises? The joke I used last time was his wife would have to tap on the tortoise's shell to get the little head to come out. I will tell you that this may be the first night I've ever heard Holy Cross and Chalmette used in the same breath with education. I've never heard that before. I did go to Jesuit High School, and somebody made fun of it. Jesuit High School has a rigorous entrance exam that you must take. At Holy Cross, you have to win 2 out of 3 cage matches to get in. Chalmette, you have to impregnate a relative before you can. Yeah, I played football against Chalmette. I remember we all out there, little fresh-faced kids, and the fullback kisses his wife and 3 kids, and it runs into the game, all right? Then you go have a big shit po' boy, French fried. I can't believe she got so fat, really? Really? It's unbelievable. To use that bitch as a flotation device when we go fishing. Miss Louisiana is here, ladies and gentlemen. I only wish Brent Musburger was here to drool on you. I'm sorry he's not. Wow. Welcome to Harrah's, by the way. Big sign out front. 50 million paid weekly. Right to them. That's the stupidest sign I've ever seen. I've never met anybody who's won a penny here. Nobody. They served me red wine tonight and they had a little cork in the side of it. I felt like I was at the best restaurant in Boutique. But I drank it. Now, I'll tell you what's kind of funny. Usually, and I've roasted, I've been on the Comedy Central roast. I've roasted Tom Arnold. I've done Woody Harrelson. I've roasted people that I know and everything else. Usually, you have some knowledge of the person that you're roasting. Some knowledge of the person. Thank you. Until tonight, I'd never met this little asshole. And I kept looking. I think, I don't know the guy. I'm charging shit at the hotel to him, and everything else. I gave him my credit card. I said, this is for incidental. She says, no, everything. I said, that's all you have to say. No, everything is. So I'm over there at the gumbo pot, whatever it is, sweets. And so I called him. I said, Lee, I don't know you very well. And he said, well, look, I said, could you send me a little something about yourself? He sent me his resume. I'm not joking. This is his resume. Now, I have read biographies by MacArthur, Eisenhower. I'm not joking. Einstein, Steve Jobs. I have never seen anything like this. Well, let me tell you the funny thing about a resume. I don't know if you know this or not. All of us who've written a resume, we write it ourselves. People look at a resume and they think, well, did your secretary, did your, I don't know what, did your, no. Lee Giorgio was sitting in his mansion one night and wrote all this shit about himself. And I had to go through this thing. I mean, first of all, I thought he would be over 5'3" when I read this. So here is his resume. First of all, he's the chairman of every friggin' board. I've never seen so many chairmanships in my life. I expected to see that he was on the board of directors of Al-Qaeda, to be honest. I've never seen anything like this. And he talks about himself, $250 million that he owns, 1.3 million square feet, and he likes listing. He likes, I have income-producing properties, I have apartments, I have condominiums, I have residual. I'm reading this thing. I said, you know, I can't wait till I have to take a dump. This thing is going to be some good reading. He was in the Army and the Navy. I'm thinking, who is he, the coon-ass G.I. Joe? And then I saw a picture of him. He was the only Green Beret with shrimp boots. I looked at him and I thought, what might we have in common? Well, maybe like the helmet hair for men's club could be one of the things. We're both charter members of Colette's. I saw that. And you know, we all have a code. He's 0069 over there. You can find him usually right by the condom with no lubricant dispenser over there. But man, he has been appointed 30 times. He mentions that he is a chairman of a board or some incredible thing. And I have never, and so tonight I've heard everyone talking about him. And I just want to say that I realize that you have boats and you have homes and planes and beach properties and everything else. I just want to say I want to declare tonight that I want to be one of your new best friends. Because every person up here is only friends with you because you have a lot of shit. The personality that you have displayed this evening and the really fish-like handshake that you gave me when I met you proved to me that this lovely woman is giving you what I used to call a mercy fuck. It's okay. It's happened to me. It's happened to all of us. And I just want to say the next time you send out a resume like this, tell people that you have cloned yourself, because no human being could do all of this in a 24-hour day, all right? Well, I have really enjoyed myself up here tonight. Are there any questions before I go? Any at all? All right. Well, look, I have paid for my airplane fare right here, the booze I'm going to drink at his penthouse later on. So, Lee, I know you give all kind of stuff to the community. You really, you know, give of yourself, and it's because you're terribly insecure and you need people to love you, and you're one of the saddest individuals I've ever roasted. Thank you and good night.
Jay, that was funny. And honestly, have you ever had anything besides mercy sex in your life? I doubt it. And I'll tell you what, we have a new name for Clancy. From now on, it'll be Clancy's Meddling Shithead Commentary on Channel 4. We already do call you that. Well, it's time now for, and by the way, Jay was funny tonight, wasn't he? Jay was funny. You know, if you're that funny, why is your career such a shit pot now? I mean, damn. All right, Lee gets to come up now, and we've heard Lee's resume about all the money and stuff like that. Melanie, is it honestly a mercy sex? Oh. All right, Lee. Come on up, Lee. It's your turn.
I come up, going to talk about the roasters, and they all go into the bathroom. I mean, Jay was talking about taking a shit, but this is ridiculous, you know? So who laughed? Let me get a head count here. Okay. The first thing I want to say is there was a reason there was on the invitation that you must be 21. So now you understand why that's part of the rule with these guys. There's no controlling them. And the other thing is that what happens at Harrah's stays in Harrah's. So please keep that in mind. This has been one of the best entertaining events in the city, which most people ever never realized before. It's a sellout almost every year, thanks to you. And it's always been fun and enjoyable. And this year I was conversed into being roasted, which I appreciate as an honor, but I'm trying to find out if it's love or hate. And as I've seen tonight, I think it's more hate than love. And I should start off with saying that my resume is not really my resume, Jay. It's Sue Roy's resume. I had nothing to do with it. My office manager does all that stuff. So. You must be sleeping with it.
My assistant wrote a 4-line resume for the.
If you say so. But I'm not kissing Greg Reggio for anything, I'll tell you right now. Okay, and the reason they went on and on and on is the fact that they were going to cut the rebuttal time. So, but don't look at your watch. I'm cutting mine in half and half and half, and then we have a little serious business, just a couple of great auction items. I'm still working for Delgado, that's why I'm here. So, in any event, but these guys, in any event, Mike Mayenza told me to say that. And in my time, and past my time. But anyway, let's just start with Mike. This is like so easy. I mean, my job is to discredit the guys that just tried to ruin my life. But it's not that bad. Pictures kind of tell it all. When Mike had my face superimposed on a bunch of that crap, it wasn't really me. It looked like me, but it really wasn't me, because the hair color was not right in those pictures, I could tell. Now, let's talk about Mike Mayenza first, our first roaster. This is a classic Mike Mayenza right here. Anybody who knows Mike, this is Mike right there. It's a classic. He's like that. If y'all want to come up and look, please feel free. We can't see. It's not fair. The roasters, we don't get to see what's going on. But that's definitely a classic Mike. They went ahead of me, and then Mike's a man of many faces. This is Mike. He's an elf at Christmas. He does a lot of good things, but at Christmas, he's an elf. He goes to Children's Hospital, but that's just another Mike. From there, he goes on to being Baby Cakes. I don't know what the hell Baby Cakes is, but his face is in a birthday pie, and he was dressed up with, I still don't know what is a Baby Cakes outfit, but this is Mike as Baby Cakes. He's not sure what he wants to be or who he is, and you'll see this through the pictures, and there aren't many, but you'll get the feeling real quick. Next. Hold on. This is Mike. This is Mike. He and Laurie Ramsey were contestants with Dancing with the Stars. They didn't win, but they got People's Choice Award. You could understand. However, you got to consider it. Greg Reggio was a judge. If you look at this picture good, they talk about me, but Mike's makeup is a little thick, but Greg liked it. So that was important. Mike went on again. He didn't get the total judge, but he and Mike, he was kissing on Mike that night. After he and Mike were kissing, Greg and Mike were kissing, Mike comes back with no shirt. I don't know what happened to it. He claims I auctioned the shirt off. I'm not sure that really happened. But anyway, that was his Dancing with the Stars night. And then did we have anything else for Mike? This Mike. Mike is a very talented guy. He sings Elvis and he sings Neil Diamond. And I didn't have the Neil Diamond, but he is known in New Orleans as Neil Diamond and Sweet Caroline, and does a respectable job of it. However, I don't know how to break this to him. He's not Neil Diamond, and Elvis is not in the house. But he tries hard. And that's the next guy. Last story, no story, I just want to tell you the last thing about Mike, since he was so kind to me. I wasn't going to pull this out, but he's trying to find himself. And in doing such, he's done this for a long time. Back in the day, that's what he told me to tell. Back in the day when there were orgies, this is quote unquote story right here. Back in the day when there were orgies, Michael, and many of you have heard this already, Michael was at an orgy. And there it was. He's naked in a pile. Really. Mom, don't listen to this. His mom's there. It never happened. But anyway, the truth is he was naked in a pile. There's a lot of fondling going on. Next thing you know, there's kissing and sucking and kissing and sucking and sucking and kissing. He thinks he's got the best boob he's ever had. The light goes on. It was a penis. He admits to it. I'm not making this up. This is a true story. He didn't spit it out. He held on to it for about a minute. Now, he keeps asking everyone. He tells everybody this story. I mean, this is no secret. Does that mean he's gay? We're not sure. His wife's a beautiful woman. He's a new father, but we're still not sure. But with that being said, he's a class guy. We love him, and we'll move on to the next subject. Clancy Dubose is a real... Now look, this is Clancy happy. Oh wait, that might be Clancy sad. I'm not sure. I get confused. But it's definitely Clancy. No. But you know, we researched stuff. There wasn't a whole lot of entertaining things we could find about Clancy, you know. You know, one thing they said was, if you know Clancy and you stand by him, he's a very calming individual. In fact, if you stand close enough, you can hear the sea. That's pretty exciting, huh, Clancy? He's an exciting guy. Now, I was a little upset that the fact that he told his raw oyster joke, which is pretty chicken shit. I mean, I could understand that coming from a Jesuit guy, but not a fellow Holy Cross guy. So I want you to write 25 Holy Cross men tonight and give them to me in the morning, Clancy. Clancy does great impressions of Phil Johnson with his commentaries. Eric don't think they're that good. Most other people don't, but when, like he said, when they give him the gig, he does it. So it's a good gig. What else we had on Clancy? Not much. I'm telling you, he's not oh, we did find out one thing about Clancy. The asshole can dance. I tell you what. And we got a little video for you to watch. I think we got a video.
Get up!
오빤 강남스타일 낮에는 따사로운 인간적인 여자 커피 한 잔에 여유를 아는 품격 있는 여자 밤이 오면 심장이 뜨거워지는 여자 그런 반전 있는 여자 아름다워 사랑스러워 그래 너 hey. 그래 바로 너 hey. 아름다워 사랑스러워 그래 너 hey. 그래 바로 너 hey. 지금부터 갈 때까지 가볼까 오빤 강남스타일
So we got Holy Cross, Jesuit assholes. We got Chalmatians. What he didn't say was he didn't make it at Holy Cross. He got cut. So he went to Chalmette. He did good. He come out a little, and he saying Araby is in Chalmette. He don't even know where he lived. When I grew up in Carolyn Park, like the Guard District of St. Bernard, not in Chalmette. He don't even know where he lived at. Where he be staying? Where he be staying? We talked about. So anyway, but Greg. In fact, other high school, Greg went to St. Aug. Most people didn't know. And he brags about this all the time. I graduated from St. Aug. I'm going, you went to St. Aug? Wait a minute. They let some of us, you know, Italians in, but they ain't gonna let a guy like you in, you know, and you're not fast enough. You know, I'm telling you, I went to St. Aug. He said, I couldn't take the band, I got to play football. So he tells everybody this all the time. And I just recently found his dad was in the Navy. He went to St. Aug in San Diego.